Okay, so this is my patio right now, late September. And most of my neighbors, their gardens are done. Brown, crispy, done for the year. Mine's not done. I've got a pot of eggplants that are still setting fruit, peas climbing a trellis I put up in July, when it was, I checked my weather app, 94 degrees. Sweat just dripping off me while I was out there with a trowel, not gonna lie. Soil so dry it was cracking at the edges of the pot. Everyone told me I was wasting my time. And the crazy part is, I almost didn't plant any of this. I thought, same as everyone else, July's too late. Growing season's basically over, right? Just wait for next spring. I was wrong. Like, embarrassingly wrong. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what I planted, in what order, and why the July's too late thing is honestly one of the most repeated pieces of bad advice in gardening. Stick around for the last one, though. It's the one I almost threw in the compost bin before it even sprouted. That one surprised me the most. So here's the thing nobody really explains to you. Spring planting gets all the attention. Everyone's out there in April with their seed packets, super excited. Then summer hits, gets hot, people kind of check out. Mentally, I mean. The garden's still there, they're just not adding to it anymore. You see it everywhere, half-empty containers just sitting there through July and August, waiting for a next season that's honestly still months away. But July is actually a second start line, not a finish line. Because a bunch of vegetables, the ones that hate blazing heat when they're young, actually want to be started right now in the heat, so they mature just as things cool down in fall. It's timing. That's it. That's basically the whole secret. I didn't figure this out from some expert, by the way. I figured it out because I was lazy one July and didn't clear out my containers, and a few plants that I thought were cool season only ended up thriving anyway. Quick thing. If you're into this kind of stuff, container growing, weird plant timing, hit subscribe. It just helps the channel. I'm not going to beg you about it. Let's get into the list. Number 15, Malabar spinach. Starting with this one because it's the opposite of everything else on this list. It actually loves the July heat while it's growing, not just tolerating it. It's a vine, thick, almost rubbery leaves, kind of glossy, and it just climbs. I put it on a cheap tomato cage, and within 3 weeks, it had completely covered it. Didn't even train it, really. Just pointed it at the cage, and it figured out the rest on its own. The leaves have this mild, almost peppery taste. Nothing like real spinach, but it works the same in a pan. And here's the part that got me. It kept producing well into October, long after my lettuce had bolted and turned bitter. Number 14, ground cherry. Little papery husks, kind of look like mini Chinese lanterns. Inside is this small yellow-orange fruit. Planted these in a container in July, half expecting nothing. By September, the plant was just covered in these dangling husks, way more than I actually planned for, honestly. I had no idea one little plant could produce that much. Thing is, you don't pick them. They fall. You just wait for them to drop to the soil, husks still intact, and that's how you know they're ready. I ate one straight off the ground, first time, no rinse, nothing. Wouldn't recommend that, by the way. But it tasted like a pineapple and a tomato had a weird little baby. Sweet, tangy, kind of tropical. Number 13, cardoon. Okay, this one looks ridiculous, like a thistle had a growth spurt. Silver gray leaves, spiky, almost architectural. I'll be honest, I grew this one mostly because it looked cool in a big pot on the patio and didn't expect to actually eat it. But the stalks, blanched properly, taste like a cross between artichoke and celery. You wrap the stalks in cardboard or burlap a few weeks before harvest. That's the blanching part. And it takes the bitterness way down. Number 12, Mizuna. This is where things get fast because a few of these are just easy. Mizuna is a Japanese mustard green. Feathery leaves, grows fast, and it actually prefers the cooler edge of a July to fall window rather than blasting midsummer heat. Sowed the seeds late July, had baby greens in about 3 weeks, peppery, a little like arugula but softer, great in a container because it doesn't need depth, like 4 inches of soil and it's happy. Number 11, salsify.
Now this one nobody talks about, ever. It looks like a skinny pale carrot, but the flavor, and I was not ready for this, is genuinely oyster-like. That's not a marketing thing. People actually call it oyster plant. Downside, it's slow. Needs a deep container and it's in the ground a long time. But planted in July, it's got the full runway before a hard frost. I forgot about mine for 2 months and it just kept going. Didn't need me at all. Number 10, fennel. Bulb fennel bolts like crazy in spring heat, goes straight to flower. Bulb never forms properly, total waste. But start it in late July, it forms the bulb as temperatures drop. Completely different result from the same plant. Smells incredible when you're thinning the seedlings, by the way. Whole patio smelled like licorice for like a day. My neighbor asked what I was cooking. I wasn't cooking anything. Number 9, tatsoi. Small dark green spoon-shaped leaves that grow in this tight rosette pattern. Almost looks too neat to be real. Fast grower, cold tolerant once it's established, which matters because it means it just keeps going as fall gets colder. Actually gets sweeter after a light frost. I did not expect that. Tasted it before frost, tasted it after. After was noticeably better. Milder, less of that mustard bite. Quick pause. Have you ever planted something in the wrong season just because you had leftover seeds? Let me know in the comments. I want to know if it's just me. Number 8, white eggplant. Not the purple kind. Actual white-skinned eggplant. Looks almost like an egg, which, yeah, that's apparently where the name eggplant came from in the first place. Didn't know that till I grew one. Milder, less bitter than purple varieties, fewer seeds, too. In a 5-gallon container, it did fine, just needed consistent water. This one will sulk hard if it dries out even once. This is the one from the hook, actually. Still setting fruit in late September. Wasn't expecting that at all. Number 7, Belgian endive. Okay, this one's a bit of a science project, not gonna lie. You grow the root in July and August, like a regular chicory root. Then later you dig it up, cut the top off, and force it in darkness. A box, a bucket, whatever blocks light completely. And it grows these pale, tight little leaf shoots called shikans. First time I did this, I thought I'd killed the thing. Cut the top, buried it as a dark bucket in the garage, figured that was the end of it. 2 weeks later, shikans, just there. Slightly bitter, kind of nutty, great in a salad. Felt like I'd done a magic trick. Number 6, purple potted peas. These are just fun to grow, honestly. Deep purple pods, and when you shell them, the peas inside are regular green. The purple is only in the skin. Planted late July for a fall crop, since peas hate real heat, but do fine once things start cooling. Climbed a cheap trellis, no real problems. The pods actually turn a brighter, almost violet color right before they're ready to pick. Good visual cue, way easier than squeezing each pod to check. Number 5, dragon tongue beans. Cream-colored pods with these purple streaks running through them. Genuinely look hand-painted. The streaks disappear when you cook them, which threw me off the first time. Cooked a batch, they turned plain green, and I thought I'd bought the wrong beans somehow. Nope, normal. Bush variety, so no trellis needed, which is honestly the best thing about growing beans in containers. One less thing to build.
Number 4, okra. Now this one's the exception on the list. Okra genuinely wants July heat while it's actively growing, so you're planting it right in the thick of it, not planting around it. Fast grower, and the pods go from too small to too tough in about a day and a half. I missed the window twice. Pods got woody, basically inedible. Third time, I finally caught it right. Tender and that classic okra texture when you slice it, all those little seed chambers. Now I just check it every single morning with my coffee. Sounds excessive? It's not. Trust me, that plant does not wait around for you. Number 3, red amaranth. This one's mostly for looks, and I'm okay admitting that. Deep red purple leaves, almost looks like a houseplant more than a vegetable. But the leaves are edible, cooked down like spinach, and the color barely fades when you saute it. Stayed almost fully purple in the pan, which looked kind of unsettling, honestly, in a good way. Number 2, red veined sorrel. Green leaves with bright red veins running through. Looks almost fake, like a plastic decoration plant. Tastes like sour green apple. Genuinely surprised me the first time I tried a leaf raw. cold hardy, kept producing through the first couple of frosts without any protection at all. Number 1, yellow zucchini. Saving this one for last because it's the one that made me actually believe in this whole July planting thing. Everyone plants zucchini in spring. It produces a mountain of squash for 6 weeks, then the plant gets exhausted, mildew sets in, and it's done by August. Started a second round in July. Fresh plant, no built-up mildew, no exhausted root system, and it just took off. Outproduced my spring planting by a noticeable amount and kept going right up until the first real frost. That's the one that almost went in the compost. I had leftover seeds, figured they were too old to bother with, planted them anyway out of pure laziness. Best mistake I made all year. Kinda makes you wonder how many other dead seed packets are just sitting in a drawer somewhere, still perfectly fine. So here's what's actually going on if you want the plain version. Most of these plants aren't fighting the heat in July, they're using it as a runway. Cool season crops like the mizuna, tatsoi, salsify, fennel, they germinate fine in warm soil. They just don't want to mature and flower in full heat. So you plant in July, they grow through the tail end of summer, and they hit maturity right as it cools off in September and October, which is exactly when they taste best anyway. Sounds almost too simple once you actually say it out loud, but that's genuinely the whole thing. And the true heat lovers, the okra, the Malabar spinach, they're just squeezing in a full, uninterrupted run of the 1 month they actually prefer. That's it. That's the whole secret. It's not a trick. It's not some special fertilizer. It's just timing the plant to the season it actually wants, instead of the season we assume it wants. Remember that eggplant from the very start of the video, still going in September? That's not luck. That's a plant that was planted at the right moment for once, instead of being crammed into a spring schedule that didn't fit it. If you've got containers sitting empty right now because you figured the season's over, it's really not. You've probably still got time for at least half this list, depending on your frost date. Worth checking before you just let those pots sit there doing nothing for another 2 months. Let me know down in the comments which one you're trying first. My money's on the ground cherries. Everyone always goes for the ground cherries. And if you want to see how the Belgian endive forcing actually turned out, full reveal, chacones and all, that video's linked right here. That one still surprises me every time I do it.